This is J. Krishnamurti's third public talk in New Delhi, 1982.
If one may point out that we are probing together, questioning together, doubting, asking, and this is not a lecture. We are together, inquiring, taking a walk together into the whole field of existence. Not dealing with a particular problem, but the problem of man, problem of human beings. And one of the factors in our existence is that we live in disorder. And apparently after 30,000, 40,000 years or more, we have not been able to live in total order, like the universe, which is in complete order, absolute order, not relative order, but order that under all circumstances, wherever we live, socially, politically, and so on, to have within oneself order. And we are going to probe into that question together. Please bear in mind, if I may repeat again and again, the person, the speaker, is in no way important. The personality of the speaker has no place in this whatsoever. But what is important is that you and I, the speaker, should unfold the causes of disorder. Not merely listen to the explanation or the description which the speaker might offer, but together think, observe, go into ourselves, not in any way selfishly or self-centeredly, egotistically, but to look at our lives, to look what we have made of the world. Why man, the human being, lives in perpetual disorder, outwardly and inwardly. One may like to live in disorder, then that's quite a different matter. But to inquire if it is possible to live inwardly first, then outwardly, not the other way around, but first inwardly, deep within ourselves, if we can live in complete order. And also we should be able to talk over together this evening the problem of suffering and this enormous mystery of death, because we have only one more gathering here. After tomorrow we disperse. So if we have time this evening We will talk about all these things. Beauty is complete order. But most of us have not that sense of beauty in our life. We may be great artists, great painters, expert in various things, but in our own daily life, with all the anxieties and miseries, we live a very, unfortunately, very disordered life. That's a fact. Even the great scientists, they may be very good, expert in their subject, but they have their own problems, struggles, pain, anxiety, like the rest of us. So we are asking together, is it possible to live in complete order within? Not imposed, disciplined, controlled, but to inquire into the nature of this disorder, what are the causes of it, and to dispel, move away or wash away the causes. Then there's a living order like the universe. Order is not a blueprint of following a particular pattern of life or following certain systems blindly or openly, but to inquire into ourselves and discover for ourselves, not be told, not to be guided, but to unfold in ourselves the real causes of this disorder. So please, this is a talk between you and the speaker, an exchange. We can't exchange with words with so many people, but we can, each one of us, think together. Not think according to my way or your way, but the capacity to think clearly, objectively, non-personally, so that we both are capable of meeting each other, so that we can communicate with each other happily, easily, with some sense of affection and beauty. So we're asking you and the speaker are asking what are the causes of this chaos, not only in the world outside of us, which is the result of our own inward psychological mess, confusion, disorder, which has produced disorder outwardly. What are the causes of it? Would you consider desire is one of the factors? We are going to go into this. Desire, fear, pleasure, and thought. We'll go into it step by step, slowly. Will take time. So we have to inquire closely and rather hesitantly Is desire one of the factors? So we are asking, what is desire? For most of us, desire is a potent factor. Desire drives us. Desire brings about sense of happiness or disaster. Desire varies in its search. Desire changes with the objects of its desire. You're following all this, I hope. So we have to think together. Is desire one of the causes? And what is desire? Why is it that all religions, all so-called religious people have suppressed desire? All over the world, the monks, the sannyasis have denied desire. Though they are boiling inside, the fire of desire is burning, they deny it by suppressing it or identifying that desire, identifying with a symbol, with a figure, and surrendering that desire to that figure, to that person. But it is still desire. I hope we are all following. And most of us have, when we become aware of our desires, either we suppress or indulge or come into conflict with it. Desire for this and desire not to have it. The battle that goes on with all of us when there is the drive of desire. So we should together, happily, if you can, easily inquire into the nature of desire. We are not advocating either to suppress it or to surrender to it or to control it. That has been done all over the world by every religious person, all the rest of it. So we are examining it very closely so that your own understanding of that desire, how it arises, its nature, out of that understanding, self-awareness of it, one becomes intelligent. Then that intelligence acts, not desire. So we are going to go into this carefully. First of all, are we aware, each one of us as two people talking together, the extraordinary power of desire? Desire for power, desire for certainty, desire for God, if you like that kind of stuff, desire for enlightenment, desire to follow some system. Desire has so many aspects. It is as intricate as the weaving of a great master weaver. So one has to look at it very, very simply and then the complexity arises. But if you start with complexity, then you will not go any further. You understand? If we start simply, then you can go very far. So we are looking at it, the root and the beginning of desire. Have you ever noticed how our senses operate? Or does one become aware of our senses? Not a particular sense, but the totality of the senses. You understand my question? Senses, the feeling, the tasting, the hearing. To have all those senses in operation fully. And when all your senses are active, functioning, have you ever looked at a tree in that way? Have you ever looked at the sea, the mountain and the hills and the valleys? With all your senses. You understand my question? If you do, then there is no center from which you are looking at things. The whole of your sensory reactions are complete, not controlled, shaped, suppressed. Unless you understand this very clearly, it's a dangerous thing to say this. Because for most of us, our senses are partial. Either we have a very good taste for clothes and rotten taste for furniture. You know all this. So, our senses are limited as we now live. Nobody, no religious or other philosophers have said this. Unless you allow all the senses to flower, and with that flowering perceive the beauty of the world, then one of the causes of desire is disorder. I'm going to go into it. We are going to go into it very carefully. Up to now it's clear. We are together in this. What is desire? What's the cause of it? How does it arise? It doesn't arise by itself. It arises through sensation, through contact, through seeing something, seeing a man or a woman, seeing a dress in the window, seeing a beautiful garden or the great hills. There is immediate sensation. That's clear. Then what happens? It's natural, healthy to have such sensation, such response. Then what takes place? I see a beautiful what would you like? Beautiful woman, beautiful man, beautiful house, a beautiful dress, I see it. A beautiful shirt, made most delicately. I go inside and touch the material, seeing, then contact, from that contact sensation, right? Then, please listen to this. Then what happens? Inquire with me. We are inquiring. Please inquire. You have touched the shirt, you have the sensation of its quality, its color. Up to now there has been no desire. There has been only sensation. Right? Then what happens? Now, you're waiting for me to tell you. No, please look at it carefully. Don't answer me. Please look at it for yourself. Because you see, unless you discover this, with your heart and mind, it's not yours. You just repeat what somebody has said. That's what is destroying this country. You all quote other people. Gita or the Upanishads or some other book. I was going to some rotten book. And you repeat. But you never discover. It's never yours. It is somebody else's. Therefore you become second-hand human beings. Whereas if you discover it yourself, it's an extraordinary freedom that comes. So we are asking, when the senses discover a nice dress, shirt or a car, then what takes place? You have touched that shirt or dress. Then thought, please listen, then thought creates the image of you in that shirt, in the car, in that dress. When thought creates that image, that is the moment desire is born. You're following all this? You're following all this, sirs? I'm not telling you, you are discovering it. That is, desire begins when thought creates the image. I see a beautiful violin, Stradivarius. I want to have that. The beauty of that sound that violin makes, I like to possess it. I look at it, touch it. The sense of that old structure. And I would like to have it. That is, the moment thought enters into the field of sensation, creates the image, then desire begins. Now, the question then is, please listen to me, whether there can be a hiatus, that is, the sensation, and not let thought come and control the sensation. That's the problem, you understand? Not the suppressing of desire. Why has thought created the image and holds that sensation? You understand? Is it possible to look at that shirt, touch it, sensation, and stop? Not thought to enter into it. Have you ever tried any of this? No, I'm afraid you haven't. When thought enters into the field of sensation, and thought is also a sensation, which we'll go into presently. When thought takes control of sensation, then desire begins. And is it possible to only observe contact sensation and nothing else? You understand my question? If you put that question to yourself and discover that discipline has no place in this, because the moment when you begin to discipline, that's another form of desire to achieve something. You're following all this? So one has to discover the beginning of desire and see what happens. Don't buy the shirt immediately or the dress, but see what happens. You can look at it. But we are so eager to get something, to possess something. A shirt, a man or a woman or some status. We are so eager. We have never time, quietness to look at all this. So desire is one of the factors of our disorder. We have been trained either to control, suppress, change desire, the object of desire. But we have never looked at the movement, the flowering of desire. So that's one of the causes of our disorder in life. Please bear in mind, we are not trying to control desire. That's been tried by all the so-called saints and all the rest of it. Nor indulge in desire, but to understand it. Like looking at a flower, how it grows. You understand all this. You're all asleep. So what then? Is fear one of the causes of disorder? Obviously. Fear. Fear of failure. Fear of not being able to fulfill. Fear of losing. Fear of not gaining. We have every kind of fear. Fear of the Guru. Have you ever noticed how you crawl in front of a Guru? I mean, you become, I don't know, inhuman. You're afraid. You want something from him. So you worship him. And in the worship there is fear. So there are multiple forms of fear. We are not taking one particular form. We are asking what is the root of fear. If if we can discover what the root of fear, then the whole tree is dead. You understand? But if I am concerned with my particular little fear of darkness or of my husband, wife or something or other, my brain is not involved in the discovery of the whole root of it. This is clear? So we can go on. So, what is the root of fear? How does it arise? It's a very complex problem. And a very complex problem must be approached very simply. The simpler the better. The simpler means I don't know how to deal with the root of fear. I don't know. Then you begin to discover. But if you've already come to a conclusion, root of fear is this, that you never discover what the root is. But if you approach fear very simply, the trunk and the root of fear, not the branches. So we are asking what is the cause or the causations of fear. Would you say time is a factor of fear? Time. That is, I am living, I might die tomorrow, which is time. Right? Time to go from here to your house, that requires time. So, there are only two kinds of time. Time by the sunrise and sunset, time by the watch, time by the distance you have to cover, time that is physical time. Right? Is that clear? That is time by the watch, by the sunrise and sunset, darkness and dawn. That's physical time. There is the other time which is psychological, inward. I am this, but I will be that. I am violent, but I am practicing non-violence, which is nonsense. I am brutal, but give me time, I will get over it. So there is psychological time. You understand this fact? I hope I'll meet my friend tomorrow. Hope implies time. You understand all this? Are we thinking together? There is time by the watch, time by time psychological becoming. Climbing the ladder of becoming. That is, creating an ideal and then try to reach that ideal. You understand this? Of course. All that implies psychological time. Right? Is this clear? I am this, but tomorrow I'll be different. I haven't reached the position of power, but give me time, I'll get it. So, one of the factors of fear is time. I am living, but I might die in a week's time. Right? Is this clear? So, what is time? Am I making this complex? Are you following all this? So we must ask, what is time? Not by the watch, but time that we have. I hope, I will, which is measurement. Following all this? You understand? Hope implies measurement. Now, is time also? Time is a movement, isn't it? Are you following all this? Does it interest you, all this? Huh? Because we'll come to a point presently when you begin to understand that there can be end to fear, completely inwardly. Begin always inwardly, but not outwardly. That there is a possibility of being totally free from fear. And to find that out, one must begin to inquire. So we say, desire is one of the factors of disorder. Fear is one of the factors. Fear is time, isn't it? Are you quite sure you understand this? Because otherwise we can't go further. Time is a movement from one point to another point, both physically and psychologically. Right? I need time to learn a language. It may take me a month or 2 months or 3 months. To go from here to London takes time. To learn a car, to drive a car, I need time. So, please watch this in yourself. We need time there, so we use that time to become something inwardly. You understand? We are moved over from the physical fact of learning a language. And I also say to myself, as I need time there, I need time also to evolve, to become, to be less violent. Right? You understand this question? I need time to learn a language. And also I think I need time to get over violence, to bring about peace in the world. So, that is a movement in measurement, right? I wonder if you understand all this. So what is movement? Which is thought, right? You're following all this? Thought is a movement. And thought has created time. Not to learn a language, but to become something. Right? That is, I want to change what is. And to change that I need time. As I need to learn time to learn a language. You have understood this? Oh gosh, are we all asleep? So, time, desire, time, thought are the factors which bring about fear. I have done something wrong 2 years ago and has caused pain, and I hope I will not do the same thing again. You understand this? Clear? So, desire, time, thought. Now, what is thought? The whole world is moving in the realm of thought. All the technological world, with all its extraordinary complexity, is brought about by thought. Right? They have built the most extraordinary complicated machines, like the computer, like the jet, and so on. It's all put together by thought. Right? All the great cathedrals are put together by thought. All the temples. And all the things that are in the temples, in the cathedrals, are put together by thought. The rituals are invented by thought. Right? The guru is invented by thought. Right? You are a Sikh and I am not. But when you say I am a Sikh, it is thought conditioning itself as a Sikh and operating that. So, thought has become the most important factor in our life, in our relationship. Thought dominates. I don't know if you have noticed all this. Thought has created the problems of war, right? And thought then says, I must have peace also, which is contradiction. You understand? So, thought, we must understand why thought has become so extraordinarily important in the world. And that's the only instrument we have. At least we think we have. Right? Are we together so far? Yes, sir? Right. Good luck to you. So, what is thought? What is the origin and the beginning of thought? And why man so depends on thought? All the great intellectuals, great scientists, great philosophers, all the books that have been written, all the results, whether it is the Bible, the Quran, or your Upanishads and so on, or even Marx, are based on thought. And thought, what is thought? By which we live. Now, we'll explain it, but you are discovering it, I'm not telling you. So don't wait to be told, for God's sake, don't wait. Then we become worthless human beings. So, is there thought without knowledge? Do you understand my question? What is knowledge? There are really several kinds of knowledge, but we'll take two. Knowledge you have by going to a school, college, university, or becoming an apprentice, and gradually accumulating skill. If I want to be a carpenter, I must learn the grain of the wood, what kind of wood, and so on. The instrument I use, I must learn, acquire a great deal of knowledge. Are you following all this? If I want to be a scientist, I must have tremendous knowledge. Right? Knowledge is born of experience, right? One scientist makes an experience, that is, discovers something. Another scientist adds to it or detracts from it. So there is a gradual accumulation of knowledge. Right? Now, is knowledge complete? Or is knowledge always limited? You understand my question? Please ask yourself, can the human thought, which is born of knowledge, can that knowledge be total, complete about everything? Of course not. Right? Knowledge can never be complete about anything. So, knowledge is always limited. The master weavers of this country, they have produced most marvelous things, but they're learning. So knowledge is always limited. The Gita, the Upanishads, the Bible, they're all the knowledge of history. People have written and so on, that's irrelevant. So knowledge, whether it is given by a saint, by a politician, by a philosopher, is limited. So don't worship knowledge. So if it is limited, as it is, then knowledge always lives with ignorance. You follow all this? Wonderful. So, thought is born out of knowledge, right? That is, I experience a motor accident and it's recorded in the brain as painful or whatever it is, and that memory, that experience is stored in the brain as memory, and next time I drive, I'm jolly careful. Right? That is, experience, knowledge from that experience, stored in the brain as memory, and from that memory, thought. If there is no memory at all, what happens? You follow? You're in a state of amnesia. You understand? So thought is always limited. Right? There is no supreme thought, noble thought, or ignoble thought. It is limited. And because it is limited, it must, whatever it does must produce conflict in human relationship. You understand this? Oh, for God. Are you working as hard as the speaker is doing, or are you just listening casually? If you understand the very complexity of thought, the delicacy of thought, the extraordinary capacity of thought, capacity of thought in one direction. Look at what thought has done technologically. Have you ever looked at anything marvelous machinery, a dynamo, a piston engine, the jet. Technologically, we are progressing with lightning speed because we want to kill each other. So thought has created wars, thought has created the instruments of war, thought has also created all the extraordinarily good things of life: sanitary, health, surgery, communication, and so on. Thought is responsible for all this. But also thought has created problems. Right? So, we're asking if thought is the only instrument we have, and that instrument is becoming blunt and creating problems, and the problems which it has created are being solved by thought. You understand? Therefore it creates more problems. You understand all this? So we are asking, I don't know if you'll understand this. We're asking if there is another kind of instrument which is not thought. You understand? Thought is limited. And thought is not your thought or my thought, it's thought. It's not individual thinking, it is thinking. Whether you are rich, great scholar, or a poor village person who doesn't know how to read a book, how to read or write, but he still thinks. So we must ask now, we see that thought, that disorder in our life, at whatever level we live. You may have the greatest power on earth as a politician, as a guru. They live in disorder, inwardly. And therefore, whatever they touch, they bring disorder. You see that all over the country politically. And the many factors of disorder is desire. Desire, we went into it carefully, time and thought. And if you exercise thought to create order, you are still creating disorder. Is this clear? I wonder if you understand all this. You understand? Our whole life is based on discipline. Like soldiers which are disciplined day after day, month after month. We discipline ourselves to do this and not to do that. The word discipline is, the root of it is to learn. Not from somebody, to learn from oneself, one's own reactions, one's own observation, one's own activities and behavior. So, but discipline never brings about intelligence. What brings about intelligence is observation and being free from fear. Being free from. Now, understanding the nature of desire, for example, if you understand it, see its nature and its structure, its vitality, and find out for yourself the sensation and when thought enters into you, when you have become aware of that, you are beginning to have intelligence, which is not your intelligence or my intelligence, it's intelligence. So, is it possible, after listening to this talk, both of us, is it possible to be free of fear? Which is a tremendous burden on humanity. Now, you have listened to it. Are you free from it? If you are honest, you are not. Why? Go on, inquire why. Because you have not really investigated, gone into it step by step and said, let's find out. Put your passion, your guts, your vitality into it. Not accept it. You haven't done that. You have just listened casually. You haven't said, look, I'm afraid of my husband, my wife, my whatever it's you are afraid of. Look at it. Bring it out and look at it. But we are afraid to look at it. And so we live with it. Like some horrible disease, we live with fear. And that's causing disorder. If you see that, you're already operating from intelligence. And also, it's now nearly 7 o'clock. Should we have time to inquire further into what is suffering, what is love, what is compassion? And also we ought to inquire also into what is death. So don't bother to take photographs. Gosh.
Sir, may I ask one question? How we can achieve thoughtlessness?
What's it?
How we can achieve thoughtlessness?
What?
What is the root cause of the disorder? So how we can achieve thoughtlessness?
What? What is he saying, sir?
She says, sir, we are all restless. How to achieve that?
Thoughtlessness.
How to achieve thoughtlessness?
Oh! How to achieve thoughtlessness? You have achieved it.
My one question, sir.
You have perfectly achieved it. You have become machines. You never think properly. You've never gone into it. And you want to find out how to be still further asleep, how to be really thoughtless, which is a wrong question. If you understand the nature of thought, the intricacies, the subtleties, the beauty of thought, from that understanding, the unfolding of a flower, nothing matters then. You don't say, how am I to gain this or that? It's unfolding like a flower, and you see the beauty of it. Do you see the beauty of a flower? Of the mountain? of a full moon on a leaf, the light of silver on a piece of rock. So one has also to inquire what is beauty. Not in a painting or in something, beauty in our life. There are too many things to talk about. We haven't touched neither sorrow and the ending of that burden, putting away the sorrow altogether. Then only you have compassion. If you suffer, if you have pain of anxiety, ambition and so on, you don't know what love is. But you want to be ambitious. You want to have power, position, better house, better cars, better. Have you ever understood that a man who is ambitious has no love in his heart? How can he? And we're all very ambitious to achieve nirvana or to become the bank manager. Both the same thing. You understand? To reach nirvana or moksha or whatever, heaven, is the same as becoming manager of a bank. Because both are ambitious. So to live a life of intelligence, which means no ambition, but yet be tremendously active. You people don't know anything of all this. So, sir, we have to talk over together the ending of sorrow. What are the implications of death? And what is religion? Without religion, you cannot create a new structure, new society. But what we have as religion is utter nonsense, meaningless nonsense in our life. We repeat some shloka or some japam or whatever you do. That's not religion. Reading Gita every day for the next till you die is not religion. Or quoting some book is not religion. Or following a guru is not religion. Or doing some rituals day after day. So we have to inquire into the depth of that word. Because only a new culture, a new civilization can be born only out of a true religion, not all this paraphernalia that goes on in the name of religion. So I don't know when we're going to do it.
So what should be the meaning of life?
One question, sir. One. Yeah, I got the first answer. Sir, I got the first. Please sit down.
You see how angry we get?
Sir, so what is the real meaning of life?
No, sir. Please listen, sir. Just listen, please. How angry you get. How defensive you get.
Yes, sir. My one question.
You don't even look at your japam and your repetitions of whatever you repeat. You don't say, why am I doing this? What is the reason? What lies behind all this? You follow traditional, and therefore you think that's religion. You know, in India, somebody calculated 300,000 gods. It's perhaps better than having one God. You can choose anything you like. But God is not, the worship of God or saying, I believe in God is not religion. Religion is something entirely different. To have a religious life means to have compassion, love, the ending of sorrow, to find right relationship with each other. But you're not interested in all that. Really, you're not deeply, profoundly, passionately interested in all to find out. What most people want is not to be disturbed with their own particular pattern way of life. And you get angry or violent when you say, look, just look at what you're doing. Have you ever noticed the totalitarian states, what they're doing? Anybody who disagrees, sent to somewhere or other. You do exactly the same thing. So please consider, give your energy, your capacity to find out if there is a different way of living in this earth. So perhaps when we meet tomorrow.
One question, sir. Last.
What?
One question.
There are certain questions. I would also like to have some questions.
but I
Kindly give me some time.
He's the first.
Give me some time. But give me some time also.
Yes, my question is, I don't think it's possible to live without desire and fear and all that, because man is with flesh and blood and conscience, not a statue. Please clear it.
What is the question?
I said that I don't think it is possible for a human being to live without desire, fear and all that, because human being is full of flesh and blood and
Sir, I've understood.
and it is not a statue.
Have it your own way, sir. You have said it's not possible. I never said live without desire. I've never said it. I've said understand desire. Look into the nature of desire. Explore, probe into this urge of desire. And you translate it as to live without desire. I never said that. You were going to say something, sir? Not you, sir. There was a gentleman there.
Sir, the Upanishads are also the discoveries of the truth by the great sages. Why should they not be read? While we have been told that they must be read and reflected upon and then meditated upon. Shrotavya, mantavya, nidhasitabhya. And Gita is also one of the great books which should be read, and why it should be discouraged, why its study should be discouraged. This is my question.
Yes, sir. Why do you take for granted that they're all true? Why is a book printed? Book is always printed, lines. Why do you take it all as though something terribly serious? Ask yourself, sir, why? Why is a book the Quran, your own particular book, or the Bible, and so on, the gentleman's saints' books. Why do you take it all so dreadfully seriously? Has it affected your life?
They affected the life of India for so many thousands.
Oh yes, sir. Look at the catastrophe that's going on in this country. See, this is so thoughtless people are. And you call this your poverty, incredible poverty in this country. Anarchy, disorder. Your own lives are in disorder. And you talk about some book. Those books haven't in the least affected your life. You don't love anybody, do you? Do? If you love somebody, this country wouldn't be in chaos as it is. In the world there would be no wars if we love people. So your books, your japams, your rituals have no meaning whatsoever, because you have lost the most precious thing in life. You have never probably had it. To love without jealousy, without possessing. Love is not attachment. If we all loved it, all of us under this tent, if we all loved, there would be a different India tomorrow.
Sir, but last time you mentioned...
Oh, please, sir, just listen to what you people don't even listen. You're all so intellectual. I withdraw that word. You're all so verbal. Just use words. But to find out why your life is empty, shallow, why you have no love, why there is no compassion, why you are a Hindu and a Sikh and a Muslim. You never ask these questions. So meditation is to ask these questions. Meditation is to find out the reality of these questions and the truth that lies behind these questions. Right. So please don't clap.